I need the experience.
Wait, no! I remember what I was gonna say. Mega Evolution, initially, the idea, let's make some kind of crap Pokemon better. Then they gave it to Rayquaza.
He's getting the charger up.
Guys, Carson is devolved into the 3DS, and I have devolved into this chat.
Oh,
alright, okay. So back to some topics now that I can actually focus and I'm not trying to kill
I'm still trying to moderate these guys.
bosses.
What's the topic here?
Let's see, we gotta come up with one.
I mean, what were we just talking about?
Well, we were just talking about, when me and Carson were arguing about the representation of Final Fantasy VII. While I would like to see equal representation across Final Fantasy, I do not think Final Fantasy VII's representation is misplaced.
Well, I mean, they put... What's his name?
I honestly, in my opinion, whether it's your favorite or not, you cannot deny the historical value of Final Fantasy VII.
They put what's his name from well, they put a bunch of 10 characters in there. So.
Yeah, 2 had the 10 characters. Although I will agree that some 6 characters.
Some other moderators have showed up. I can go back to
maybe some 4 characters, although I don't know them as well. But especially after Dissidia happened, you'd think there'd be more. Instead, instead of more Final Fantasy characters, we get the World Ends With You, which was still a nice surprise in my opinion. To have other Square Enix characters, although to me it kind of...
We're gonna have a Garland fight in Kingdom Hearts 3, just wait for it.
Which one's Garland?
Garland's the first boss of Final Fantasy 1.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you meant that Garland or the other Garland.
No, that Garland.
There's another Garland.
Yeah, there's another. I know there's another Garland. I meant the Garland, not the other Garland.
Oh, that's right. Brian likes Final Fantasy 1.
Why?
Technically, Final Fantasy 1 is a okay RPG for its time. Because of the fact that it was during the problem with Final Fantasy 1 for me specifically is that I live in an age where when we design games we like to find ways to and this differentiates between titles, basically take your hand and show you where you need to go, but not just show you. We're gonna hold your hand, point the entire time, make sure that we hold your head where we want you to look in order to get you where you're going. And Final Fantasy 1, because it was during that time where it was like, we didn't do that, we don't do that shit, basically, you had to read to play that game. Because after you beat Garland the first time, you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, what the hell do I do now? If you don't read what everyone is saying.
Or you could be like me and, it took you like 10 lives, not really lives, you don't have lives in that game, 10 lives to get to Garland. You killed Garland, you went across the bridge, and you went too far north, and then the first thing that you ran into killed you.
Hey, Yuvi! Yeah!
So if you use Aeroga, I think we mentioned this.
Jailbait!
Arrow will literally deflect all of her little ninja stars.
She's Jailbait, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That is what H.C. Bailey, I think, named her.
Hey, y'all need to get Yuffie out that corner. She doesn't like being in the corner.
Let me stagger a little bit, but not actually fall off my feet.
Let me still use my boss slowdown.
Let the Final Fantasy characters get hurt? Pshaw, that's not happening.
There's a Final Fantasy 7 character, therefore they're technically invincible.
Again, I'm a half-ass.
I would love to see, a boss of, I would love to see, like, a world where they finally let you have your final showdown with Sephiroth, and then, like, Kefka's there, too. So it's like, Kefkaroth.
So, wait, you're asking for a Final Fantasy world to be added to Kingdom Hearts 3?
We need a Marvel world!
I'm basically, with the Avengers game, but I'm basically, saying that there needs to be, like, a area.
Oh, was that leak about a Marvel world real?
What do you mean? There's an Avengers game being made by Square Enix. There were a lot of false leaks about a lot of false things, especially
then, this picture floating around on Tumblr, and I guess they just edited.
There has been no news on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay, then it was fake. Someone just took that Avengers game, and it's a damn good edit of the Kingdom Hearts 3 hides a bunch of really good Heartless and Sora and stuff. Okay, so that's fake then.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
But no, I would like to see. Yeah, I would like to see Kefka in it as a boss. I like Kefka. I think Kefka and Sephiroth... Honestly, in my opinion, Kefka and Sephiroth are even better villains when you think of them comparingly, because they're both good for the exact opposite reason.
You're gonna get into a battle with the Warrior of Light.
Because Kefka is your basically Joker villain, where he's just destruction incarnate because he can be.
Yeah.
They don't give you exposition within the game, at least no direct exposition, tell you why he's this way. He just is, and you're supposed to accept.
You don't need to, because he's that evil.
Right, and that is what I like about Kefka, and I can appreciate a villain like that. Whereas Sephiroth is the exact opposite. Sephiroth is the result of exposition creating a person who isn't evil, but still the villain. Because Sephiroth's not, in his mind, he...
Oh, one of my favorite behemoths! The red painted flame one.
But in Sephiroth's mind, and I can only assume, the way I have determined Sephiroth is supposed to be, or at least the way I see Sephiroth decided at some point that when
Corzin would rather be playing minutes cap, I see.
Sephiroth realized that Sephiroth was a monster in human eyes, and so his way of dealing with this was that everyone else must be the monster. And so he should rid the planet of these monsters and take the planet like he was supposed to.
I've never seen that happen.
So Sephiroth is basically a tragic story, turning a character to a villain who is not in their mind evil. And so Sephiroth is the example of good exposition, making a character the bad guy, whereas Kefka is the exact opposite, where he doesn't need exposition, he's just bad.
Kefka!
And I think they're both beautifully done versions of the opposite thing. You could compare them if you like one thing or the other, but if you didn't...
I really love Kefka.
If you're not biased to one kind of evil or another, I don't think they can be compared, because Sephiroth is evil due to his background, and Kefka's just bad. I mean bad in the evil way, not the he's a bad villain kind of way.
So, yeah, I'm still watching
He's a bad villain?
Well, I mean, normally from what I've learned... story writing that you normally have 3 types of villains within video games.
I was trying to say, I'm watching this chat, so I'm caught between... Why do they happen to need moderating now? When we're recording?
You could have said something about the fact that we're recording.
You got the narrative villain, the mechanical villain, and then the true evil. And
okay, true evil is Kefka.
Yeah, the true evil is Kefka, because normally the true evil is basically the person that, regardless of what you're looking at here, there's no logical backing, there is no emotional backing, there is nothing to explain why this character is evil other than the fact that they are evil. They are the end-all, be-all, and possibly are either the end of the world or just in general the technically most evil person that is probably existing within that universe. Well, one of the more popular examples that people like to use is the Joker. That technically there's no real rhyme or reason of why the Joker is really evil. He is just evil. Whereas Two-Face is evil because, he's different. He doesn't like the fact that now he is different compared to everybody else. He also feels betrayed. He has emotional as well as logical backing to why he does the things that he does. There is no actual backing or explanation to why the Joker continues to basically terrorize the people other than to get at Batman.
I was reading mechanical villain is your villain who is trying to revolution... Bowser?
Yes.
You watched that extra credits video,
There's not really any huge... Yes, Bowser kidnaps the princess and Mario goes to save the princess. Bowser wants the princess, which, technically gives him motive. But in reality, Bowser is really only there to test your mechanics as a platformer in Mario games.
Because the way you're talking, you watched that extra credits video, didn't you?
Yep. That's
Yeah,
the
no.
power of the click.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like I'm one of the people, I can get behind Kefka, and not even like it's the fact that you can't get behind Kefka. Like, most people realistically cannot relate to Kefka. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing about Kefka. You cannot relate to Kefka.
Which is the point.
If you were able to relate to
Kefka,
Kefka would be a horrible villain. And honestly, if there had been if there was a point like in a remake of a game where they explain Kefka away, I don't think I would like Kefka anymore.
Better, more current example. Asgore, mechanical. Azrael, narrative. Chara, true evil.
don't get me started on those, Fox.
Well, I mean, he does have a point though. They do kind of fit this discussion.
If you looked at the game in that sort of way, you technically have three final bosses to that game, which is the normal one, which is Asgore, which in reality is pure mechanical. There's not really any reason other than the fact that Asgore is here to test everything that you've already done mechanically throughout the game. You beat Asgore, story ends, doesn't end on a good note, or it ends on whatever note you left the world in. If you go the true pacifist route, you run into the narrative character, because you go into more lore, you get deeper into characters, you find out who Flowey is, blah 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 blah. Dialogue. Depth. And you find out why Azrael was technically evil, or why Azrael / Flowey was evil. But if you go the genocide route, you run into the pure evil, who is truly evil because of the mere fact of, like he explains, he kills people merely because he can.
Yeah, if something came around and explained Kefka to me, I would kill Kefka. And I like Kefka because I can't relate to Kefka because Kefka is just bad. And I like Sephiroth because Sephiroth is, he has that backstory. His life sucked. And literally everything about his backstory sucks. And basically every time I've seen them expand on his backstory...
I do remember them explaining Kefka's insanity and stuff, though.
No, they do not give any direct... There is stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's all
I believe
outward stuff.
I think the explanation is the concept of the espers. He thought he could use that for power.
Supposedly there was like talk of he was experimenting on and just became evil. Because
they
but even without that, it's not directly said in the game. It is never said in the game Kefka's backstory. And I wouldn't want to even go into Kefka's backstory, because Kefka to have a backstory would ruin Kefka for me. I mean, it's like how there's that Maleficent movie where apparently they try to like justify Maleficent's actions, whereas in the original Disney movie with Maleficent, which one? That's Sleeping Beauty, isn't it? Yeah, in Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent's evil simply because, and does everything she does in Sleeping Beauty because she wasn't invited to a party.
The best part about that live-action Maleficent movie is then she's kind of good for a minute there.
That's my entire problem with. That's why I haven't watched the movie, because I found out that stuff like that happened, and honestly, I have no desire to watch Maleficent be justified. Maleficent's just supposed to be evil incarnate.
And she was, and then not. Kind of.
Exactly. So that's my whole point. Kefka would be ruined if they did that. Whereas Sephiroth, any exposition just adds to him. And
most people just think it's a bad movie in general, not just because of the weird. Okay, let's explain Maleficent's evil, but
it's like if you pay attention to the story of Kingdom Hearts, supposedly, at least from information that I'm not sure is directly said, but somehow people get on information. But like Xehanort isn't even evil in his mind. He just has a goal that he is trying to achieve. Granted, it does not benefit a lot of people. And he's technically responsible for the death of a bunch of people.
So, the chat calmed down and back to... Sean was taking a while anyway, and again, I'm sorry if you've heard my clicking, but these guys were, you know, they needed people to monitor the servers.
You want to get Brian on a tangent, though. Brian.
What?
Brian.
What?
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I don't know what you're gonna say.
You know what I'm going to ask
You can say a lot of things!
You know what I'm going to ask you, don't you?
I don't know what you're gonna ask.
Yes, you do. Yeah, I can see on your face.
Let me check our capture.
I'm confused. You said
Cool.
something
Okay.
because you were like, oh, you're...
He could say anything.
Ryan, how do you feel about the Switch?
That thing.
The Switch!
That thing. That thing.
The Switch, you say?
That thing. That thing. Oh, no. How do I feel about Zelda Breath of the Wild simulator? Okay.
Damn.
Hey, hey, the fact that a new Bomberman game exists in any form is a miracle.
Now, I'll give you that. I was excited about a Bomberman game because I, for one, and practically feel myself as a fan of Bomberman. I was really into Bomberman, especially when Bomberman 64 came out, is that I really liked that game. That game was really cool. So when Bomberman 64 Second Attack came out, I was like, yeah! Around Bomberman Generations and Bomberman Jetters, I kind of, something was missing. Like, I just felt like it wasn't the game that it was when I was playing it on the 64. And so I was kind of like, I feel like this is gonna die. And then eventually Bomberman itself started dying, and boom, out of nowhere, gone. And what was it replaced with? Bomberman Land, which was a crappy Wii U party game.
Oh, I thought it was a DS game.
No, it was a
No.
Wii, it wasn't a Wii U game. It was a Wii game.
There's a DS version of it, isn't there?
There might have been.
I remember playing one. It was
It's
actually
not good!
I mean, I liked the one I played.
And so here I
They had
was.
some bad mini games.
Here I was like younger at the time. I was buying Bomberman Land because I was like, oh right, a Bomberman game, yeah. And I got it, and I realized that it wasn't a damn Bomberman game. It was a Bomberman party game with practically really bad mini games attached to it. And so I was like, well, shit.
You wanna... To divulge this tangent for a minute, because I just want to talk about this, because this is an amazing fact of just something terrible, and it was related to shitty party games, so it's tangentially related. So I watched this list. This guy made this list of, like, I don't remember what, it was a worst games list, but I don't remember what the list was exactly, what the worst games on this list were, or if it was just generically the worst. What he picked as the worst, when he was a kid, he went to the video rental store and found this game that was supposed to be based off the Universal movies, and it was advertised as an epic party game, and it's like, oh my god, we get to play the movies! This game must be cool! So they rented it. And when you start the game, you're in the theme park and you can walk around. It's like, oh my god, this is cool. You can't play the mini games until you pick up the litter in the theme park, deposit it in the trash. When you deposit the litter, you get tokens for cleaning up the park, and then you can play the shitty mini game. And he was like, no! He returned it to the rental store, and the lady at the counter, oh, everyone returns this game. So he was like distraught because it was like, you don't just get to pick a terrible mini game, you have to pick up garbage for like 5 minutes. And when people just talk about terrible minigame compilations, that game just comes to mind because it's like, why? Talk about the Wii U. Snipper Clips looks interesting.
You mean the Switch?
Yeah. Whoops. Snipper Clips. What do you think of Snipper Clips?
What?
Oh, wait. You didn't see that, did you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay then. So, after the announcement, the Treehouse showed off another Switch title. It's called Snipper Clips. You're a piece of paper, and it's a multiplayer game, and your partner is also a piece of paper. To play the game, you and your partner cut paper out of each other to solve puzzles and stuff. If you cut too much paper, because you're literally cutting your partner into little papery pieces, they'll die. So it's a co-op puzzle game, and it's just charming as hell, little puzzle game.
The game sounds like it's fun for about 20 minutes. Maybe a few hours. And then you put it down.
I love this seed. Because it's...
Brian, how do you feel about Breath of the Wild Simulator?
How do I feel about Breath of the Wild Simulator? Oh man, it is possibly the best thing Nintendo has ever done. It runs games at 90p, which isn't really bad, but like I said, like my friend told me earlier today when I was talking to him, but all of my games run at 1080.
Breath of the Wild is 90p. The Mario Kart
It runs at 30 FPS, which, really isn't bad unless, for some reason you glitch it out and bombs just start exploding everywhere and you got particle effects going all over the place.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 1080p, 60 frames per second. The only game that isn't is Breath of the Wild. Every other game, from what I've heard, runs at the...
I can only assume that's because it's it's limited by the Wii U. I said maybe it's because of the screen, but that still doesn't make sense. Yeah, I know that it can change frames.
From my...
But I can only assume it's because
Why am I
it's
condensing my launch title on my new console?
the same reason that they did for every other game that they didn't want to put on just a launch, and they put it on the console before it. I mean, it's a design flaw in any game that you release that could be on one console, and you put it on both. You limit the final product to
the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe!
But for a good month.
Talk about the Mario...
Maybe 3 months. Maybe a good 6. Because I saw the launch schedule for this thing. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a good 6. Zelda's going to occupy my time.
Breath of the Wild...
Okay, honestly, I will point out that the launch lineup for that is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
As someone on Discord had said, no console's launch lineup is...
No, and that's exactly my problem. They did not learn from the last console generation.
No console generation's ever been really good.
It's not that your lineup is good. It's that your lineup has options. This game is coming out with 5 games.
I mean,
the PS4 came out with 24. The Xbox One came out with 22. The Wii U came out with 30.
But let me... Yeah, yes, but my whole problem with it is every console generation has never had a stellar launch, but they've definitely had better launches than the PS4 era of launch.
And
because everyone unanimously agreed that was just a completely horrendous launch. The Wii U was like the best console when the PS4 came out because the Wii U had actually been out. But the Wii U wasn't good until the PS4 had come out.
And also...
The Wii U took until the PS4's launch to actually have titles on it.
Another thing...
made it worth buying.
Another thing was
the PlayStation finally got things on it, and the Xbox finally got things on it. Then they released the Switch, and they haven't learned their lesson, and basically, if I were going to look at it and be like, this is the game I'm going to buy, it would have to be the only game on there, on launch, that I would want for launch, is Breath of the Wild. And then, my problem with that, in its entirety, if you have a Wii U, you're wasting $350. Because remember, this thing will not come bundled with games. Which to me is silly because they basically their entire reasoning on why they did that is they wanted it to be $300. And so they didn't bundle it with a game. When realistically you could have made they could have made $325 and put a game on there.
$340, $350, $400 even.
And it's and they were just basically we just wanted to be $300.
I don't understand why you don't feel that you're merited to do so.
An interesting thing about the Switch is price. A developer from Platinum and a developer from Namco stated they're surprised at what the Switch's price is because they've seen the development tools for it. Apparently, the price it is really low for some
that does
reason.
not reassure me. In fact, that makes me more worried about it, because that basically means the console has to sell, otherwise they're down money. Basically, they're saying they're either very confident it's going to sell, or they're just like trying to sell it off it being cheap. And while it's not a bad thing, that is a thing where it's like, well, you should expect me to have $300, and I have to have $350 if I actually want to play this thing. The only thing really worth buying the console for is on a console that's already out, and probably just as good. Because if there's one thing I've noticed companies do not like doing, it's compressing things between consoles. It's one thing when it's on a handheld, but they do not like to compress something on another console. Because it looks bad. And so, Breath of the Wild is simply put just limited by the Wii U. If I don't know, the Switch could be good enough to play such a game, and that the Breath of the Wild could not be just an amazing game, but I feel like they basically had to limit it, and it probably had to be limited to 30 frames per second because it couldn't run like they wanted it to because it's on the Wii U. If they'd taken it off the Wii U, they wouldn't have been limited by making the same game with... Basically, they made a Wii U game and put it on the Switch. Mm-hmm. So it's a game that's already below the quality of the console you're trying to sell me.
It's Twilight Princess.
Well, yeah, no, it is Twilight Princess, and you are completely right. And the difference with Twilight Princess is the Wii sold. We had an amazing launch.
It did?
From what I remember,
Because
the Wii U had games on it. The Wii U sold just a ton of things, and it sold to an audience that no longer exists.
Which is technically what people or what the industry is currently trying to say about the Switch. The Switch is currently selling to an audience that may or may not already exist, / an audience that feels they have been left out.
But the Wii tried to appeal to a casual audience. Ryan, is there a casual audience?
It's not really that the Switch is a casual console. The Switch is a console that is introducing a lot of Nintendo original games that are going back to the basics, so to speak. For example, Zelda Breath of the Wild technically can be considered very reminiscent of the mechanics as well as the experience of the original Zelda game, with its open world feel as well as its reliance on certain items and interactions, as well as Super Mario Odyssey, which really takes more mechanics from 64 than any of the other Mario games. So from what this person thinks and theorizes is that in reality the Switch is literally the console for the person that feels they were left out by Nintendo and is now getting what they deserve, which is games that go back to the experience that these games were built upon.
which is an interesting way of...
I can see what you mean. I mean, there's definitely that kind of air to it. At least with the games they're releasing. I mean, honestly, of all the games... I'm saying a lot about Breath of the Wild, but I'm really excited to see Breath of the Wild. I don't understand why... If it was seriously at that point where they have to, like, cut it down to 30 frames per second...
Mm-hmm.
If it was really that, obviously they didn't. This isn't. They obviously have known this. I don't understand why they didn't just cut the Wii U version. Especially since, to me, I honestly, from a marketing standpoint, why would you sell the
Reggie knocked
Wii U?
on my door. Reggie asked me, "You want to just cut the Wii U launch?" I'd be like, "Hell yes."
Well, I mean, really, why is it even there? Like, at this point, they want to sell this console. They don't have another game that, to me, is a solid launch title game. I mean, Mario's not on it, and Mario is, so far, like, off the top of my head, the only other solid game on here. The rest of the games on there are all on the Wii U.
I had to pull it up so I could be sure in the next statement that I made, which was, I don't want to play Just Dance 2017. I don't care about collecting Skylanders toys. Bomberman game. Okay, I mean you got to
But
okay from me.
Where are you gonna buy the console for Bomberman?
My $50 party game of 1-2 Switch.
Oh yeah, no.
Keep
okay.
it away.
I'm sorry.
Keep
I don't.
that
Why
away.
is that $50?
Keep it away.
I can't be the only one who thinks that game can't be worth $50. And would be shocked if it is actually worth $50. If people are like, no, $50.
No, because it's a tech demo. It can't be worth $50.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If somebody gets on YouTube and it says this game is worth $50, you know,
I'm slapping them. Maybe we'll put some sense into them.
but no,
$50 for a
but no,
tech
but
demo. Are you kidding me?
On launch day, especially, there is nothing on there that's even a solid title for them because the solid title is on another console. If you are a Nintendo fan and really want Zelda, you probably already had a Wii U ready for Zelda, and then you found out it's going to be on the Switch. And if they just said it was going to be on the Switch, you still bought a Switch anyway. So I don't know who they're trying... Basically, the only person that they're going to sell the Switch for Zelda is the people who did not buy a Wii U because there was no Zelda on it.
But the pre-orders,
And-
man.
You know,
The pre-orders are rolling in.
and so... and apparently there's also already talk about them being out of stuff.
They're apparently out. There apparently were so many pre-orders that people literally you couldn't pre-order the console anymore because they apparently didn't have enough ready.
Which is just...
Consoles are gone. All those special collectors bundles.
I'm trying to figure out, is between the Switch and this whole Final Fantasy 30th anniversary thing, I want to know who's in charge. I can only assume the same guy who's in charge of Square Enix's marketing department either is in charge of Nintendo's or has an identical twin brother who wishes to rival him in every way, therefore does the exact opposite of what Square Enix guy is doing. So one doesn't actually provide anything that anybody actually wants. Instead it says, got $1,000 wine for you.
What floor are we up to?
We're on the next to last set. and then the other guy is like, hey, let's announce this console, not make enough, and then not put any solid games on release day. To me, there's no.
And it's not only not enough consoles, the whole debacle for the collector's edition where they were streaming at like 6 in the morning and just offhandedly Reggie's like, hey, there's this collector's edition, but we have like almost...
You know what? I'm honestly impressed that they did not just pull another Sega Saturn where they're like, and you can buy the Switch right now. And then somebody drives into the store and is like, here, sell it now. I mean, I'm honestly I'm surprised that did not happen. And at this point, I don't think it's been much worse.
Sonic Mania is on the Switch, it's just a bonus point.
Well, yeah, but Sonic Mania is on every console, so I don't...
No.
But I'm saying... To me, when you're making a console, you need to do one of two things when you release it. Either release it with games, good games, or decent games, a bunch of decent games, and you need at least one solid game that makes you think, I would buy the game for this. And the Switch does not have that.
A word I've been trying to get in the games on launch day are terrible, but what are the games for the generic March release?
Are there any?
I remember hearing... Wasn't that where ARMS was supposed to be?
But is ARMS a game that would make you think, I would buy this console for ARMS?
ARMS is like in April.
ARMS is a game I would say,
yes.
I would buy that.
ARMS
That'll
is
give me a
in
good
spring.
amount of time to spend with my Switch before that comes out. Really, I'm going to still be playing... I'm with Brian. I'm still playing Breath of the Wild.
The later March release is Snipper Clips, Fast, RMX, I Am Setsuna, and has
I Am
been
Setsuna is already
theorized.
out. For other consoles.
I thought it was only the PS4.
Okay, it's up for another console. Again, my problem is the fact that everything that's on it is on other consoles, has been on other consoles, or is coming out on another one of their consoles, which I just cannot understand.
Have you seen their
why
Super
you're
Bowl
one
commercial?
What?
Have you seen their Super Bowl commercial?
No.
They have a Super Bowl commercial. This is the first time, I believe, ever, that Nintendo has took the time to have a Super Bowl commercial
And
for the Switch.
yeah. sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
My problem is the fact that they're one solid game that they should have that no one else would have.
Yo, hey, how you doing, everybody? Yeah. Got a minute? Hades, Lord of the Dead. Nice to see you. Hey, guess what? I got a place for you.
He has an invisible health bar too, by the way. Just pointing it out since I wasn't needed as a moderator. I'm still sitting watching this chat, but it quieted down, so I got back to our actual LP.
But no, but again, you should always have that one game that makes people think, I would buy the console for this.
Well, that's what they're banking on Breath of the Wild being.
But again, you have a Wii U. It's probably not a comparable difference.
I've heard,
Especially if it's comfortable to the fact
because
that
this
you
is
compress
the-
the game merely because of the Wii U launch.
because this is the internet, people say that they can tell that there's a difference.
I mean, there's probably a
but-
graphical difference. It probably looks better on the Switch, but what does that mean? Do you ever buy a game? Would you buy a console because this game looks a little bit better on the other console?
There are some people that do that.
Oh yeah, there are some people who do that. People who have $300 just to spend on a console.
Oh, those are the people that bought the PS3 day one, I'm guessing.
Right. Yes. You are talking about the same people right there.
You're talking about the same
That's a
people.
very good example, Carson. Yes, people.
$599
The
US
people who
dollars.
bought PS3 on the first day are the same people who buy the Switch because Breath of the Wild would look better.
Bringing that meme back. You know, people meme $599 US dollars, but Australia gets inflation on US prices, so
Apparently in Australia and Canada it was about 1,000.
Hades' face is always hilarious.
it is.
Feel the heat.
For all the hate.
Feel the heat.
Because we were.
Anyway, so my point though, like, Kurt, is there a game on the Switch that makes you think, I have to buy this on launch day? I mean, you have a Wii U. You could get Breath of the Wild on launch day without $300 going down somewhere.
I have a
So aside-
Switch version ordered.
Yeah,
But
well the thing is we
aside
can't...
from
It's not a collector's edition.
aside from just getting a Switch, is there a game that would make you have thought, if you didn't want one, or were even thinking maybe I'm not gonna get one on launch day,
Hold on.
that would make you think that?
I told you plain and simple, for example, when it came to Nintendo consoles, I would have never considered buying a 3DS if Pokemon had never got on it.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't have a PS4 if Kingdom Hearts wasn't on it. I mean, I was quite content buying Persona 5
I'll
for
answer
the
you in just a
PS3.
minute.
I don't need a PS4 to play Persona 5.
In reality, this is just me because I am 100% probably the least console-based gamer in this room. Because all I do is play PC half the time. The only, if anything, I would have chose. I always choose PlayStation consoles. Why do I always choose PlayStation consoles? Because I feel that the games on PlayStation are better than the options I have on other consoles. Mostly because I don't think Microsoft exclusives is that great. Plain and simple. And second, if I'm going to buy a second console next to my PlayStation, there should be something related to Nintendo.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you have a Sony Nintendo console, you don't need anything else.
Because in reality, I really don't care about anything.
Because honestly, the only reason you're going to buy a Nintendo console is for Nintendo games. Third-party support is important. I'm not saying that's not. Very important. If the Switch doesn't have third-party support,
Okay, back
it's
to-
still a bad console.
I was gonna
But
answer
again,
you.
there is no, I mean, unless you just were like, I don't have a Wii U, I'm gonna get a Switch. I'm gonna get Breath of the Wild on the Switch.
Like if money
really-
was not a factor right now, I would buy a Switch so that I could play Zelda. I would play Zelda until holiday 2017 when Mario Odyssey comes out.
And honestly, that game right there is so far the only game that makes me think that would sell the console. It's not coming out.
I don't.
holiday.
I have no intention of buying my Switch so I can play Minecraft or FIFA or Street Fighter 2.
But no, it seems like a very strategically bad launch. Like, I don't understand what.
I love this thing.
I mean, and the fact that they're out of pre-orders is just amazing to me. And I can only assume it's out of pre-orders because people just wanted a Switch. There's nothing about the Switch that sells itself.
I was gonna answer you, but I know.
I thought you said that was the end.
Oh,
No,
well,
you
next
say
to
no,
last
that's
set.
it.
Oh, okay. So what I was going to, I was actually Breath of the Wild. I was interested in. The thing about the games for it, Breath of the Wild was like one of the only ones launch day, but within the launch window, I was.
But again, you have a Wii U. You could have gotten Breath of the Wild on that. And I guarantee you, it would have been comparable to playing it on the Switch. Basically, you would, in order for them to justify, in order for someone to truly say that it is a worth launched title, and say there's a $350 difference in the titles.
I was interested in other games, is what I was.
Well, yeah, no, but. I was right. I would not buy the console until the holiday because it's going to be cheaper.
This is just,
and there's nothing that's on there that requires my attention.
And this is just a theory I have, but I honestly feel the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild will end up canceled because
it's apparent.
If it ends up canceled, it's even
If it
worse.
ends up canceled,
that
then
means
Breath of the Wild needs to go up to 60 frames per second.
That's what I have heard. Apparently, this is just a rumor. Allegedly, Breath of the Wild was having technical issues being ported over to the Wii U. So, because of that, I have.
You know what that would mean, don't you? That means it would have been limited.
Wouldn't that have meant it was developed for the Switch first?
Yeah, but it's
Yes, but that
but
means that the Switch can only run it at 30 frames per second.
Yes, but no, that means that they literally had to limit the Switch to accommodate for the Wii U port.
But as I said, that was just a rumor I had heard. It could be very baseless.
Oh yeah, no, but even if they did, they would still have to think, but we're gonna put this on Wii U, so it has to run on the Wii U, and we know that the Wii U is gonna have to do this game at this. And basically, if they cancel it, you're going to tell me that they limited the game for a console they didn't even release it on. Which, to me, is even worse than limiting it for a console you actually put it on. I mean...
You gotta fight all of those properly. What are you doing?
You can't get prizes here, so this is a breather round.
What are you doing?
Do you not agree with that, Ryan? That you limited it because there's no way that you're going to tell me if the Switch is
magically Breath of the Wild for the Wii U gets canceled, it literally is just like, oh well, yeah, it got canceled, which means that Breath of the Wild is not only if for the reason of if it's having trouble porting from the Switch to the Wii U, that means the Switch can only run that game at 30 frames per second and at 90p. That in itself doesn't make any sense.
That is bizarre since they got the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a remake.
Now I will point out that is a Wii U game. That is, it is an enhanced Wii U game.
Yeah,
it is running with the power of the Wii U technically in mind of its development.
But
however, interesting thing about that though. In Mario Kart 8, the original, if you try to do multiplayer,
it gets cut to 30.
The frame rate
and you're going to tell me it doesn't cut to 30 in the Switch. That makes total perfect sense.
Apparently, the Treehouse said it stays a consistent 60.
No, and I believe that. I mean, you're telling me that a superior console can run a game on an inferior console better.
I will give you that one.
Honestly, if it went back down to 30, I would be worried about what they're telling me about this console. Because that would mean that this console is nowhere near as powerful as they want you to think it is. And they already don't want you to think it's that powerful.
Look at that magic.
What is even happening?
Look at that magic right there. You see what that is? That is basically the UI trying to switch between the two bars of the enemies that you are currently hitting. So much so that it's sitting there from what now appears, it drops the health bar down.
That glitch of these enemies not dying, has that ever happened in here?
Yes.
The glitch is just around these enemies forever.
Sean, there's a new Smash Brothers chat in that one community.
That's awesome. And that's another thing. I'm waiting for their whole announcement. The fact that there's not a Smash Brothers.
See, of course it's happening right now.
There's not that. There's. What was there footage about Smash? No. There's just rumors about Smash.
There have been rumors.
Okay.
And honestly, to me, re-releasing, I will say this about basically any kind of port of Smash. I don't understand why you would even port Smash.
Well, the reason...
Because Smash is to me is such a popular fighting game series. The only logical conclusion is to make a new one.
Well, there's a problem. Was that, well, we should know from people like Nomura, and I can't think of another infamous developer, don't listen to developers, but Sakurai has, more than usual, tried to make it very clear that Smash 4 would be the last one.
He said that about Brawl.
I said more than usual. He has seemed...
It's not going to be last Smash. I mean, basically, it's either going to be Sakurai making Smash, or somebody else.
We also have that problem where competitively everyone's like Melee or bust.
It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, that doesn't matter to you.
But they're going to be Melee or bust no matter what. You don't need to do anything with that.
Except that is a very good market for updating Melee.
No, because they don't care. And because anything... You're basically telling me it's just a graphical update.
You're
Except...
talking about the same company that believes that Splatoon is a competitive environment.
No, my problem with updating Melee is that you have to change Melee, which means you will mess up all those people who are competitive at Melee.
Actually, I've heard, granted, again, this is just kind of
you're
rumor.
basically what you're saying, if you're going to do that route, you're basically saying to fix exactly what that market wants, and this is from the company who doesn't want competitive Smash.
Wanted to do...
They made Brawl. This man made Brawl because he hated competitive Smash
that
much.
But that was back then.
And this was a rumor. The Switch was going to have downloadable GameCube titles. And the rumor goes, the front runners for this, one is a now 60 FPS variant of Melee that is designed to run on an HD TV without input lag. And the other one was
impossible. What? Without input lag.
Well,
the game system that plays at 36 frames per second. You don't have to worry about it.
The HD.
The only time you have input lag is when you drop below 30.
The HD TV.
And if you plug a GameCube game into a TV like this.
No, not just a GameCube game.
Okay, but you're talking about an updated port, not a remake.
The rumor was more of a port, not a full out.
No, I know.
Remake.
That was my argument with you the other day. Was that the entire concept of remaking Melee is completely stupid.
Well, that's why
you would not remake Melee. You would update a port of Melee, but you would not spend the money to remake it because no one would want it.
That's what the rumor.
The competitive people wouldn't want remade Melee because that means you changed it. And they don't want
the competitive people already remade Melee.
Well, that too. You have to convince me there's actually a market for remade Melee. But
as a side point, didn't Project M get banned from tournaments because of how illegal it was?
Depending on the fact that 4 came out, and then basically everybody said Nintendo's finally going to pay attention to competitive Smash. Yeah!
To go back to the remake point. If they did the logical thing of a remake where they were trying to fix or change a bunch of things, people would complain. But if it was a competitive mindset focus,
you can't convince me Nintendo would actually make that.
I didn't say they would.
That's what I'm saying. You would not convince me Nintendo would make that, and that would be and you would be right. That would, if they literally took heavy Melee, like top tier competitors and said, "What would you fix about Melee?" and then made the game exactly
This is the tech you asked for. Is like
you could justify a remake to me, but they're not going to do that. So no, that's not going to happen.
That's why the rumor.
But a port of an updated version, I could see. A remake is not going to happen because it's not going to happen the way that people want it to, and so therefore it has no reason.
That's why the rumor was mainly
because honestly, I mean, I would not pay money to buy a remake Melee.
What if they finally put Sonic in it and made all
Ice
the rumors
climbers,
true?
man.
Well, I'm not convinced you can even make Ice Climbers happen.
Ice climbers.
But my whole thing is, if I was gonna buy Smash, I would not buy anything except New Smash.
Ice climbers.
There's no reason to buy anything but New Smash. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, there's not a Smash game I go back to that I'm like, this is.
I play Smash where I play the new entries.
Wait, no, I mean, I do not.
Smash 64.
I played
Bus.
Smash 64. Mm-hmm. I played Melee, and I played Melee before that, and I don't know why. Other than going back to see what it was like, I would not touch Smash 64 again. Melee's okay, but honestly, I would play Brawl over it, and I would play Smash 4
I
over
like
Brawl.
Brawl and Smash 4 more than Melee, which pisses a lot of people off.
I will agree to Smash 4. Brawl and Melee, I feel they both have little things one does better or worse at, like Melee and a bunch
You
of...
want a controversial opinion, and this is gonna piss off the fighting game community, Melee is jank as hell.
It is very jank.
It is bad. What you consider...
Ice climbers, man.
What is generally considered Melee tech, and I'm doing air quotes, is glitches and exploits.
I don't have that much of a problem with Melee.
Man.
I don't feel like I've delved deep enough to even care that much about Melee. But I mean, I entered the series at Brawl. Maybe that's why I think that way. But I mean, no, I played Melee, but I really entered the series truly at Brawl. But I like Brawl.
64 or bus.
But I mean, I would not play. No, I wouldn't play anything but Smash 4 at this point.
64 or bus.
I don't see any reason to play anything but Smash 4 until the new one comes out. I feel like, and to me, that's every fighting game. To me, there's not too many fighting games that can really say, that you can really say is not just an expansion pack of its other one, and therefore why would you?
I generally agree with you.
I mean, Brian, I'm not too heavy in Street Fighter. Is it other than maybe some
I
bosses?
had that conversation with my brother last night, actually.
Well...
Funny you bring that up.
Because in reality, the only reason you had a sequel to those kinds of games is because you had to update things about it.
Except then,
that you couldn't go on.
Except that leads to this really
to do a patch.
That leads to this really funny thing too. Actually, to talk about competitive fight, a lot of people prefer the older Street Fighters. There are actually a lot of people who like the older Street Fighters because they liked the mechanics in the older Street Fighters, and they based all their tech and movement and combos around these mechanics.
Okay, from a competitive standpoint, I could see why you would stick with one specific entry.
Well, not a lot, because
The Street Fighter generally gets better, and the later games are a little bit more lenient and simplistic.
Well, I mean, honestly, I have noticed that if it's an older series of fighting games, basically I can't see... Like, Brian, is there a reason to go back to the, Street Fighter 1?
Other for nostalgia? Not exactly.
Well, Street Fighter 1 was never a good game.
Or is there a reason to go back to Street Fighter 2?
Not exactly. Because in reality, the difference between Ryu and Street Fighter 5 and Ryu and Street Fighter 1 is that Ryu in Street Fighter 1 didn't have a V trigger. He had meter. Well, no, he didn't even have meter.
Street Fighter 1 isn't even really...
It was a player versus CPU game.
Okay, guys. So my question of the day is, what did you guys think of the Hades Cup? Personally, I think this cup really drags on because they make you fight a ton of beefy bosses. On top of that, the regular enemy rounds take a while as well because normally they're pretty full of enemies. And I also think that the seed order is really weird because you end the cup by fighting Rock Titan and not Hades himself. I think they should have reversed the Rock Titan and Hades fights so that the cup would actually end with an epic Hades battle instead of Hades being taken out pretty early on in the cup. But anyway, I would really love to know what you guys think. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments below, or you can leave them on social media. All my social media links are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a show for a minute. If you liked my video, please hit the like button and leave some comments. If you're new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscription button and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please ring the bell next to the subscription button. That gives you the proper notifications of whenever I upload a new video. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media. Doing all of these things really helps out the channel and it really helps our communities grow. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time.